Welcome to our second part of the course, Comparative Literature. This is Dr. Hanan Halabi from the International Arabic Academy. So today we're going to talk about the importance of comparative literature and what are we going to teach, or what do we usually teach in comparative literature. And we're going to end up with how to use technology in teaching comparative literature. So starting with what to teach in comparative literature. So basically in comparative literature, students typically study a wide range of literary texts from different cultures, different languages, and time periods. So the specific content of the curriculum may vary across different institutions, but here are some common areas of study in comparative literature. So literary texts. Comparative literature involves, first of all, we call it literary texts. That means the close reading and analysis of various literary texts, including novels, plays, poems, essays, and short stories. So students explore works from different countries, regions, and literary traditions, comparing themes, styles, and techniques employed by authors. It also includes literary theory. So when we're talking about literary theory, it includes the study of literary theory and its criticism. Students examine different theoretical approaches to literature, such as structuralism, post-structuralism, feminism, post-colonialism, and more. They learn how these theories inform the interpretation and the understanding of literary texts. It also includes cross-cultural comparisons. So comparative literature emphasizes the comparison and contrast of literary works from different cultures. Students may study works from specific regions, Latin American literature, African literature, Asian literature, or compare texts from various parts of the world. This comparative approach allows for the exploration of common themes, literary movements, and cultural influences. It also includes translation studies. So when we talk about translation studies, it plays actually a significant role in comparative literature. So students explore the challenges and strategies involved in translating literary works from one language to another. They examine the impact of translation on the interpretation and reception of texts, and may even engage in translation projects themselves. Literary history and movements. Comparative literature often involves the study of literary history and movements. So students trace the development of literary traditions across different time periods from ancient texts to contemporary works. They may explore movements such as Romanticism, Modernism, Surrealism, and others, understanding their historical contexts and impact on literature. So cultural and historical context is another part of comparative literature. So comparative literature actually delves into the cultural and historical contexts that shape literary works. So students examine the social, political, and cultural factors influencing the production and reception of literature. This includes exploring the impact of colonialism, nationalism, globalization, and other historical forces on literary expression. Interdisciplinary approaches. So comparative literature frequently incorporates interdisciplinary perspectives. So students may draw from fields such as philosophy, anthropology, sociology, history, linguistics, and gender studies to deepen their understanding of literary texts and their contexts. It also includes critical analysis and writing. So comparative literature emphasizes critical analysis and writing skills. Students learn to analyze and interpret texts, formulate well-supported arguments, and present their ideas effectively in oral and written forms. They may write research papers, literary analysis, and comparative essays. So it's important to note that the specific topics and approaches in comparative literature can vary depending on the program, faculty expertise, and student interests. Students may have the flexibility to choose specific areas of focus or pursue independent research projects within the broader field of comparative literature. What is the importance of comparative literature? So studying comparative literature is important for many reasons. First of all, we do understand different cultures through comparative literature because it allows students to explore and appreciate diverse cultures, traditions, and perspectives. It provides a broader understanding of the world by examining literature from different countries and regions. By studying literature across borders, students gain insights into the values, beliefs, and experiences of people from various backgrounds. Another importance is the cross-cultural communication. In an increasingly interconnected world, effective cross-cultural communication is very essential. It is important because it equips students with the skills to navigate cultural differences and enhances their ability to engage with diverse communities. By analyzing literary works from different cultures, students develop a more nuanced understanding of culture, contexts, symbolism, and language, enabling them to communicate and emphasize across cultural boundaries. Another importance is the literary analysis and critical thinking. So comparative literature encourages students to critically analyze and interpret literary texts. They learn to identify common themes, motives, and narrative techniques across different works. This comparative approach enhances their critical thinking skills and enables them to develop insightful perspectives on literature. These analytical skills are transferable to other fields and can be valuable in careers that require problem solving, research, and interpretation. It also helps in broadening literary horizons. By studying comparative literature, students are exposed to a wide range of literary traditions, so they can explore works from different time periods, genres, and languages, discovering lesser known authors within literary movements. This exposure broadens the literary horizons and enriches the reading experiences. It also encourages a more inclusive and global perspective on literature, challenging the dominance of certain canons and expanding the definition of what constitutes great literature. Examining transnational themes. Comparative literature allows for the examination of transnational themes and issues that transcend national boundaries. It offers insights into universal human experiences such as love, loss, identity, and power. By comparing different cultures, by comparing how different cultures explore these themes, students gain a deeper understanding of shared human experiences and the ways in which they are shaped by cultural and historical contexts. But the last importance is career opportunities. So the skills developed through studying comparative literature are valuable valuable in a variety of professions. So graduates can pursue careers in academia, publishing, journalism, translation, cultural diplomacy, international relations, and more. The ability to navigate cultural complexities and communicate effectively across languages and cultures is highly sought after in today's globalized world. So in summary, studying comparative literature fosters cultural understanding, cross-cultural communication skills, critical thinking abilities, and broadens literary perspectives. It prepares for a diverse range of career paths and promotes a more inclusive and interconnected view of the world. Now we come to talk about new technology and teaching comparative literature. So literature, new technologies are continually developing, improving, and even sometimes replaced at a rapid pace. Although this rapid change risks creating pleonasm, it is nevertheless a meaningful representation of our culture. So innovation processes are becoming fundamental components of our cultural systems as students continually challenge faculty to immerse themselves in the rapidly changing world. So education begins with communication. We therefore need to find the most effective ways to make pedagogical materials accessible to the student. Manzou, describing teaching in an urban environment, provides a framework for the use of new technology. Teaching is a complex and multidimensional process that requires deep knowledge and understanding in a wide range of areas, and the ability to synthesize, integrate, and apply this knowledge in different situations under varying conditions and with a wide diversity of groups and individuals. In quality teaching, this knowledge is applied in ways that provide equitable access and opportunities that build upon and extend what learners already know, facilitating the ability to acquire, construct, and create new knowledge. So the current generation of students has required faculty and instructors and teachers to take on new roles. So educators are required to present materials in a dialogue, communicational format through which the learning materials are discovered in a mutually enriching exchange. In the field of literature, these challenges reinforce the premise that literature is both a communicational venue and a mode of artistic expression created through the science of linguistics. In the dialogue mode, the educator conveys knowledge and receives feedback that is enriched and redirected to students, creating full cycles of exchange. So frequently, conversations extend beyond class time and into office hours through forums and all kinds of media becoming an integral part of the educational process. These new scenarios challenge teaching faculty because each student chooses the approach to learning that suits his or her personal preference or need. Technology, in all of its forms, is an integral part of students' lives, and they expect to find it in their learning process. For this reason, faculty members have begun designing syllabi which offer a variety of approaches to learning. Community engagement activities, service projects, group activities, online platforms, and other learning strategies entice students to learn in ways which are closer to their individual preference. In this scenario, the inclusion of technology in curricula is not a choice, but a necessity, a tool for teachers and scholars. The emphasis on assessment drives pedagogy to focus on results and to select effective teaching tools. And in this process, each faculty selects teaching tools with the circular structure of pedagogy in mind. Instruction from the teacher reaches the student. It is re-engineered and circulates among other students in the community, in dialogues and in conversation. And it returns to the classroom as an elaborated response. Technology assists each step of the educational process because teaching faculty to be effective must immerse themselves in the students' world. So educators evaluate each option that technology offers and choose the tools that complement their own particular style of teaching and the type of students being instructed. Naturally, some tools prove to be more effective for some educators and others do not. What an educator can do more effectively in person cannot be replaced by technology. And it becomes necessary to enhance that particular skill of the teaching faculty. The teaching curriculum and the receiving curriculum should form a harmonious ensemble as two intrinsic parts of the whole. These parts are negotiated at different levels: the institutional level, program level, and the course level. Each curriculum begins potential curricula, which rely on standards or objectives to provide a framework. These curricula are enhanced according to the requirements of accrediting organizations, by institutional policies, and by the attributes of the institution and faculty members to fulfill the requirements of a given program. The key of all these components is the interconnectivity of each element. So the stakeholders who connect all of the previously mentioned components are diverse. Each teacher or faculty can be effective as long as there is intentional and concrete institutional collaboration and support through instructional technology support, academic librarians, teaching development departments, service projects offices, community outreach groups. However, the bottom-up approach to integrating curricula will only be successful when the academic leadership and teaching faculty are aware of the importance of coordination and are willing to have the technology integrated into their course curriculum. Department heads or heads of departments are important in the top-down approach. In the bottom-up approach, individual teaching staff, including lecturers, and librarians implement the curricular integration of each program. While in the top-down approach, the curricular integration of information literacy is endorsed by the university or by the academic department. Practically speaking, a successful approach to integrating technology into the curriculum considers students' needs and feedback. Committed teachers or committed faculty leaders to identify faculty members who feel comfortable establishing pilot programs, which are experiments with the use of different technologies. These faculty members should be kept updated on new technological resources and are allowed to disseminate their experiences to other colleagues and the community at large. It is also important to support the faculty involved in pioneering the use of new technologies. With this support in place, the academic community is ready to adapt the generalized use of technology in instruction. To faculty to champion and pioneer new technology who are able to recognize and locate the new technologies that can be used effectively in their instruction. So comparative literature requires different points of references and new technologies, therefore constitute the ideal media through which to obtain the connectivity among the areas involved in the literacy or the literary comparison. The rapid access offered by technology to a diversity of opinions urges educators to instruct students in the judiciary discrimination of the available resources. Thus, the discipline of comparative literature should be able to exploit the facility and disposition of students to rely on a wide array of resources to establish a comparative spectrum of the perspectives, expressions, and cultural embedded in each cultural elements embedded in each literary work. Within this panoramic bonanza of information, accessibility lies inherent dangers. The ranking of search results highlights some perspectives while limiting or hiding others, and the benefits of the general use of search engines are accompanied by dangers. Instruction in comparative literature benefits the student beyond the study of this particular discipline. So students are trained to evaluate the information that they receive. First of all, connectivism highlights the importance of the ability to be able to recognize patterns and similarities between patterns. The core strategies of comparative literature involves interaction among ideas and concepts, which evolve from initial core of seemingly disconnected literary works. So technology is an important facilitator of those connections, enabling deeper thought to be given to the comparative process that follows the initial challenge of understanding how connections are formed or what a particular constellation of connections represents. According to Marcy Driscoll, effective teaching is informed by theories of learning. So connectivism therefore seems to be an appropriate theory to apply in comparative literature. And the new technologies which foster such an approach should have a privileged place in instruction. Nonetheless, it should be acknowledged that the majority of the comparatists' work still occur in long hours of solitary reading and reflection. So new technologies can open new and accessible venues of interaction that accommodate a faster pace of activity for the faculty and the students. The familiarity gained through these types of connections will facilitate a more overt practice of comparatism and literary exchange for future practitioners. Also, we have to know, according to technological use in comparative literature, computers are a private space, and such does not constitute a space in which students are open to share. So the iPad, however, seems to be more public space, similar to a smartphone screen that people have a tendency to share with others. The use of iPads in the classroom favors the circulation of information and promotes the exchange of ideas. In a comparative literature class, a literary work can be discussed by searches highlighting fields of information. Another tool that has proven effective is the use of e-clickers, which shorten the time taken to review the content of a literary work. Students approach this type of evaluation as if it were a game, which inclines them to compete and facilitate, consequently, the process of individual involvement in the literary task. The use of provocative questions in e-clicker questionnaires can be used to open new fields of comparison and foster follow-up discussions. So the use of e-clickers and iPads subscribes to behaviorist theory because it regards learning as measurable through observable changes in behavior. The tendency to share iPad space or to share information through an eco-code questionnaire fosters the comparative approach of connecting with others and other sources of information. While cognitive and constructivist theories affirm that learning occurs when learners reconstruct the mental models through which they understand the world, incorporating new experiences and information. So the student of comparative literature needs to recreate his mental models constantly in order to accommodate a new model based on the approximation of the elements of comparison. New technologies favor rapid access to new venues of comparison and to more traditional sources of comparison as new databases become accessible on existing ones because more easily accessible through library services. Educators who incorporate the new technologies into their pedagogical structure can create learning environments which enable students to get the most from instructional experiences. So as you can see, comparative literature can be taught in advanced ways. We can use technology like iPads, computers, internet in order to teach students comparative literature. And new technologies actually has made a great jump in order to improve students' levels, especially in teaching and learning comparative literature. So as you can see, comparative literature has a lot of advantages on students because it does improve their literacy skills, it does improve their understanding of cultures, it does enhance their critical thinking, so they become better and have higher order thinking skills. So as we said, new technologies are put into pedagogical structures so that students can have better experiences learning comparative literature. Thank you for listening to me.